Is personal finance a left brain or a right brain activity? There is always this debate about whether finances, and especially when it applies to, in your case, in your personal finance, do you handle your finances as a left brain activity, which is more analytical, logical, and about all about numbers, or do you kind of handle your finances in a more intuitive, in a more creative way? And we are going to discuss the different stages of your financial or the different aspects of a financial system. And this is a 4-step system that I work with my clients, and I have a guide in the description below. There's a link in the description below from which you can download this guide. And this, no matter what your financial state is, and no matter what kind of improvement you want, this actually gives a very generic 4-step process by which you can go from this point A to point B. And if you are interested, please go to the link and download that guide. But let me again elaborate on this left brain versus right brain activity. And if I take those 4 steps, the first one is looking at your current state of your current finances. So when we do the analysis of your current finances, there are few key parameters or few key numbers. And these are typically your monthly income, your monthly expenses, your debt payments, your housing payments, whether it is rent or mortgage, and then 4 other numbers like your total savings, total investments, total debt, and what kind of interest rates those debts have. So these 7 or 8 numbers are very important to do a numerical analysis of your finances, where we can draw a lot of ratios, or at least 4 to 6 different ratios that tell us the health of your financial system currently. And this is what also a glimpse of this I have given in that 4-step guide that I talked about. So you can, if you are going through that, you will see how these numbers are used to come up with a financial state for that person. But on the other hand, this is really a left brain activity, where we are looking at the numbers, we are drawing some ratios, we are interpreting those ratios, and we are comparing those ratios against some kind of rule of thumb. For example, if your savings are, let's say, covering 5 months of your total expenses, which means your monthly expenses plus debt payments plus your housing payments, then in a way you have a 5-month runway if your income stops for whatever reasons. And so these are the different kind of analysis that we can do using those numbers. But then what is the right brain activity in this case, as we have only talked about numbers and ratios? And this is where there is another technique which is called a SWOT analysis, and I have created a separate video for that, but let me elaborate here. So SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, and it's a very popular system that is used by businesses when they do their yearly or quarterly planning. They look at this SWOT analysis. It tells a business where it stands in the marketplace, and what kind of actions it should take, or what opportunities it can go after, and then what kind of competitive threat or other threats, economical threats that the business has. And if you think about your finances or current state of your finances as a business, then also you can apply the SWOT analysis and things. And let me go through also the components of this SWOT analysis. So your strength could be if you have a very good income, if you have very low debt, or if you have good amount of savings, that could be your strength. Weaknesses could be if you have more debt than you can handle, or let's say a large part of your monthly income is going into debt payments or into mortgage payments, things like that. Then that means your finances are quite strained. That means once you lose the income for whatever reasons, or in an emergency, you may have a hard time servicing that debt. So these are the weaknesses. Opportunities could be maybe you have more cash lying around than required as an emergency fund, and you can very well take this cash and look for better opportunities to grow your money. Other opportunities could be in your career or in your business, to look for the next level growth, that what all you can do to increase your income, or there could be opportunities to even reduce your expenses. and maybe paying off some debt. That way you can free up more cash flow in your financial system. So all of these are the different opportunities that you have to think about. And then finally, threats could be, what are the threats in maybe whether your business or the job that you are in, what kind of threat does it have from the external world? Are there threats to the economy, or maybe the industry is going through a rough patch, so you may lose your job, or your business may not do so well, or the investments that you have from where you are getting passive income, those may stop for some time. There are various kinds of threats, like COVID was a threat that nobody saw the kind of impact it will have on businesses and jobs. So this SWOT analysis is really for the first step when we do financial awareness. The ratio analysis is the left brain activity, and the SWOT analysis is the right brain activity. The next step in my guide is the financial planning stage, or the financial goal setting stage. Now, when we do goal setting, there is a very popular format called SMART format, where we go by specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. So let's say you have a goal for which you need $50,000 in the next 4 years. So what you can do is, this $50,000 becomes your specific. The 4 years, the timeline becomes 48 months. And when you divide this, you'll get roughly $1,000 per month that you'll have to allocate towards this goal, assuming that you are not depending on the market too much and you want to put it in a safe growing investment. So that way your measurable part becomes $1,000. Then actionable is, you have to do something in your budget, or consciously start saving away this $1,000 from your other expenses, and that's the actionable part. And then finally the realistic part, that given your income, your obligation, debt obligation, your expenses, can you really afford to save up $1,000 for this particular goal? And if not, then you'll have to adjust the goal, maybe adjust the specific number to reach, or the timeline, and things like that. So SMART format is a very analytical format for deciding on the goals and how to create a financial plan to achieve those goals. And when there are multiple goals, then it becomes even more analytical, because now you have to take the SMART format, come up with the numbers for the monthly numbers for each goal, and then you have to see whether you can fit in all the goals in your budget or not. And if not, then you may have to defer certain goals, reduce certain goals, or stretch the timeline for each of them. And this whole process is very analytical, that I work with clients, because the number of goals, the kind of goals are very different for each person. That's why the second step is very flexible, but it works on this SMART format, and which is where we apply our left brain to do the best we can in coming up with a financial plan. But then what is the right brain part of the financial plan? The right brain part is, which I have often seen, is that a lot of people have a very difficult time selecting their goals. And selecting their goals means you have to basically reduce all comparisons with other people, and think about what is important in your life. How do you select the most important goals? What does wealth building mean for you? And that defines the goals. It does not mean that my neighbor has a big house, or my neighbor has bought a very expensive car, so I also have to buy that. That is not real wealth building or real financial planning. So it means that, okay, what do you want to, where do you want to see yourself financially in the next 5 years, 10 years, and then work backwards towards it. And sometimes when there are multiple goals, multiple dreams, then also you have to make a priority between those. Maybe just achieving all of them at once may not be possible. So sometimes clients have to basically prioritize one goal over another. And this whole goal setting process becomes very intuitive, becomes very creative, very emotional in some cases. And that's why I believe that this part of the financial planning is a right brain activity. The third step is a financial flow. Financial flow means, once we have decided that how much money we are going to allocate apart from our regular expenses towards these goals, then we put that into a budget. And again, budgeting is all about numbers. We have to set it in a budget. There are many different forms of budgeting. There are many different tools in the market. Mint was a very popular one. I myself use YNAB, and I introduce my clients to YNAB, which is called You Need a Budget. It's a very good, actually it works for me. I have no affiliate relationship with them. So YNAB once we set a YNAB, it actually becomes a very left brain activity again, because you have to understand the workings of the tool, you have to understand the different flexibilities that it gives you in managing your monthly numbers, in managing your cash flow, in allocating your money towards the different goals and so on. So that's the left brain part of that. But what is the right brain part of a financial flow? The right brain part is actually sticking to that discipline, to be able to control your expenses, to be able to control the urge of not spending frivolously or not spending on things that are not aligned to your values. Sometimes we go out and buy things that we don't like. After 2 days, it becomes a complete waste. But when we create this budget based on our values, based on what things are really priority in our life, and it could be anything. Maybe you want to travel more, so you should allocate more of your expenses towards travel. And this is what Ramit Sethi, he's a personal finance guru, and he talks about what is called a money dial for each person. That is, you have to define what are your money dials, what makes you happy, and then spend generously on that and cut mercilessly on the other stuff. So this is where the right brain part of a human being comes into budgeting, or that's the way we apply into our monthly budgets. And whether you create a budget or not, this kind of, you have to incorporate it into your spending plan. So that was the third step of financial flow. The fourth step is the financial growth. Now, when we talk about growth, again, for most people, what comes to mind is what are the investments that will give my finances that kind of a growth that I want. And most people naively think that they should get the maximum return possible. But maximum return is a myth, because what if a mutual fund or some investment does very well today, there is no guarantee that it will keep doing so in the future. So just chasing a maximum return number is, in my opinion, is quite foolish. So what you should do is, once you have the goals, you should decide for each goal, depending on its timeline and how much you are able to save, then you should decide what the portfolio for that should be. And this portfolio selection, which by the way you should do with a certified financial advisor. I am not your financial advisor, so I'll only talk in terms of very generic terms. I'm not going to give you the exact stocks or mutual funds to buy. But when you do this portfolio construction, if you do it based on each of the goals, based on their time horizon, based on the risk that you can take, that's again a very analytical activity that your financial advisor will help you do that. And I would encourage you to participate in that as well, ask as many questions, or kind of bounce your ideas with him or her. That way, both of you will play that left brain activity and come up with the most sustainable portfolio for yourself. But then what is the right brain activity in this portfolio construction or in this financial goal? And this is where I think a big thing that happens in any kind of growth is your mindset. And when you are actually setting your finances up for growth, you have to give up the scarcity mindset. A lot of time people actually crib about very small fees, or they don't want to kind of take a little bit of risk, or they get into a lot of scarcity mindset. They won't pay a coach or a financial advisor because they think that that's a waste of money. Of course, not all advisors are good, so you have to do your due diligence. You have to talk to other people who have used these financial advisors and then make a choice. But the main idea here is that not to suffer from scarcity mindset, you have to think very, very long term, and sometimes you have to make these investments in your own financial future to be able to grow your finances to a much broader level. And that's where the abundance mindset comes into being. You have to start thinking of where you want to be 5 years or 10 years and start behaving as if you are already there. And that's really the financial growth right brain activity. So hope you like this video, and if you had liked this video, please click the thumbs up button below, and I hope you will now start enjoying both the left brain and right brain, no matter what kind of person you are, whether you are a very logical person or a very creative person. And maybe the best thing is all of us have both the things inside us. So just apply that to your finances, and as I said, in these 4 steps, do download the guide, the link for which I will put in the description below, and you will see these 4 steps in action, and then just apply your own analysis to that. And if you want to talk about your finances, do reach out to me. There's a The email address is given in that guide, so do reach out to me. And please subscribe to my channel. That way YouTube will show you more such videos of personal finance that I'm going to create in the coming days. Thank you again for listening.